Hey, welcome back to more Great Attorney Chronicles, specifically Great Attorney Adventures. Last time we went to the Sholmes residence, met Iris Wilson, spoke to her a bit, and now we're heading off to the crime scene to investigate, and presumably...
Why is there a shoe on a shelf?
Will be there. Nothing wrong with the shoe on the shelf, okay.
I've heard of a shoe on a shelf.
But this is just ridiculous. I misread that as 19st.
It looks as if the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation.
Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible.
Yes. Let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. And he's just there.
Yes.
Now it's time to bribe a police officer.
Yeah.
Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment?
Sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of fallen gallivants, that's for sure.
We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson.
What? For me? From her ladyship?
Her ladyship.
Get out here, at once! Come on, hand it over, that's for me.
Ah, don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly?
A silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee, that's what it is.
An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean...
That's right. For the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me. Every time.
Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I've read them avidly.
Of course, her using my name. Of course, her using my name without my say so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still.
I'm sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you.
Wouldn't you mind that? So, what do you want to know then, eh?
Sorry?
Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
Ah, little knife-wielding mustache Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. On the fourth floor of that house, on the corner of where that wreck of a bicycle is propped up.
That is nearby indeed.
Remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garadeb. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure to give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes.
Don't worry, Inspector. We will.
Goodbye for now, then, and long live her ladyship.
Fuck, what's that?
What is she, the fucking queen?
Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left.
Yes. So then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings?
Definitely.
So convenient that it was right there. It's like they didn't have to design a new set.
Oh, a British bicycle, look! Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore.
Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling.
It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well.
Bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that.
Goodness, do you dislike bicycles?
No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. Just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river, I know you'd agree with me.
We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. That's a rather
penny farthing.
That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history.
Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. It looks decidedly worse shaped than the other houses around here.
According to Inspector Gregson, that's the house where Mr. Natsume has lodgings.
Just across the road from where the incident took place, I see. It'd be awful for Soseki-san, getting caught up in something like this in a foreign land.
Alright. Let's move it.
Let's move. We're gonna take a carriage into a house.
Mr. Natsume. Cannon!
What? Oh, right.
Is that his maid garb?
Shit, who did I... Hang on, I had notes. Give me a sec.
Okay. Lol.
She looks fun.
This will be you, Ben.
Okay. I help you.
Ah, yes. Would this be the residence of Mr. John Garrideb?
It would, sir. May I say his calling?
My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here.
Look.
We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client.
Which, please, I shall convey the message to Mr. Garrideb. That's a fucking name.
Did you see that, Mr. Sato?
A lot of the stranger names in this are actually taken from Sherlock Holmes stories. There was a Mr. Garrideb in one of those.
Okay.
It was a real-life English maid.
It's totally different from the Maidor. Actually, shit. I guess the idea of those was probably imported, huh?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, yes,
As I
Tim.
understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. No, you saw one as a fucking juror.
She wasn't important.
Oh, yeah.
It suddenly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it?
We need only to meet a butler and the experience will be complete.
Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Close are over.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garrideb will see you now. This way.
This guy is pointy.
He is very pointy indeed.
Good day to you. John Garrideb at your service.
Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer.
Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Maiwon, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings.
He's a retired soldier.
It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine.
Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs.
You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruhodo.
Do you think so?
Well, Mr. Garrideb, no doubt you are very courageous to earn yourself a medal.
Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the General, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joe, and let these good people see it properly? Joan, fetch the— Ah! Dash it all, woman, be careful!
Your pardon, sir.
You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands!
More careful, sir.
So anyway, there you have it, living the quiet life now.
Yes, I see.
Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right?
Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us.
Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Even had some famous detective poking around, you know, in this old house, would you believe?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Could have been, didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business.
Oh, but you have a copy of Rance magazine here, so...
Eh? No,
Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak.
He's in Soseki-san's room.
It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighbourhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling.
About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garidab. Please, do tell us.
Ah yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week.
Oh, just 1 week? They moved in very recently then.
I have 2 lodgers most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. There'd been— Ah! Dash it all, Joan, do be careful!
I'm sorry, sir.
You keep— the first part keeps cutting off, it happened before.
Oh my goodness. I'm terribly sorry, sir.
You have to like start every sentence with nonsense.
I think it's because he's like getting too loud or high-pitched or something with it, I don't know.
Maybe?
Like, something about his mic is fucking it. If you want to
You
know—
want to know my opinion?
Oh, whoops.
As a maid. I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him.
Oh, why?
He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later, he's going to do something untoward. I'm really wrong about anything.
We won't be calling this man as a witness, that's for sure.
Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all?
Yes! Oh yes, indeed there was.
She's dying to tell us. What?
The shady lodger.
What?
Have you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume?
What did you just say, Stick?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yes, the man was shadier than an orchard.
Could you elaborate?
Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is. More than anyone could ever read. I never so much pass the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. The funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too.
No maidens. Oh, I see.
The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning.
Could you clarify something, I wonder?
What, pray?
How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine?
Oh,
I'd understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct?
That's right, yes, they're both below us. On the first floor and the street level.
Then, how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example, even the times they go to bed.
Then Psychologue.
Ah! Good grief, Joan, be more careful, woman.
goodness, sir, I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Something doesn't add up here. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Do you happen to look out the window at around that time?
The window?
What's that?
Yes, we
window.
noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby?
I should clarify for any American viewers here. When they say pavement, they're referring to what you guys call the sidewalk. Just to make that clear.
Yeah.
Because I know for you
Okay,
guys, pavement
then.
means like the main part of the road, right? Like the tarmac / asphalt / bitumen, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
5
I
o'clock is...
don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to it as pavement.
Anyway,
What is a song about chasing pavements?
5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garadeb household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan?
No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road.
Fog? Adachi's at it again. No, I missed
Wow,
that.
Persona 4 spoilers. Jeez.
Oh, I see.
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as? Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well...
Yes? Was there something then?
Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but it's around that sort of time that— Ah! For the love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing!
Dear me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir.
Do be more careful, woman.
Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Naruhalo.
Oh, yes?
You have an exceedingly good memory as far as I remember. Nothing of any significance took place here at that hour, nothing at all.
Oh, really? Mr. Garadeb? When we were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been.
Oh, well, as I was
Oh,
saying,
well.
it was just a trifling matter, really. Nothing of— Ah! Don't— Joan, dash it all! What is the matter with you, woman?
Does she still have a job?
Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened.
I like how her name tag hasn't updated to Joan. It's still just Maid.
Well,
Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal, Joan?
that's right, Mr. Garadip.
What's the matter with these two?
God.
It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what?
I wish I knew. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on?
Why, certainly, just below us on the first floor. And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there even as we speak? Yes, told me Nat's his name, had asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services.
That's a blatant lie. It'd be alright if we also had a look around. In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean.
Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs.
Who knows if we'll find anything that can help us with the case, but we have to try. Need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we?
Yes, and while we are there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more.
We can dance.
Alright.
Look, a
Good
candle on the
examine
floor.
around
What is
here,
that?
but yeah. Yeah, it looks like a can.
Oh, yeah, that's a cannon.
It said candle on the
Oh.
other side of the room.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you said candle, but then he was like, yeah, that's a cannon, so I'm like, oh, I guess I misheard it. Fucking gaslighting me there.
Oh,
That does look like a candle, yeah. You mean next to the present button?
Yeah.
I honest to God thought he said cannon.
You need to get your ears
I
checked.
like
mate.
how below the cannon is a bucket. Makes it look like it's pissing.
Oh.
Cat!
Most game 10 out of 10.
Just look at this place. Smell it. It's so musty in here. Suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that.
I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life.
No, me neither.
It's
It's so dark in here, too.
Is that the window over there?
It was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. For some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar.
Isn't that
But
Adult
this is where
Swim
Mr.
show?
Natsume lives. It wouldn't
By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? He turned into the cat.
Totally. No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garrett told us, Great Detective should be around here somewhere investigating. He's inside that bag thing.
I guess we examine.
It would have been so stupid if it was like you turned the room to the other side and he was just there. They
Yeah.
couldn't see him. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling.
They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty.
This volume of books into hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you?
No, what a dreamy idea.
Bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. I don't know how to read. And I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again.
Ah, so reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us.
I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy.
Cat animal.
Call an animal.
Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away.
I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It wasn't that fast. It was a tricolor Mikia, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain?
Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan.
It's made me feel homesick now.
Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days.
We're on a boat for much longer.
Oh look, it's a beckoning cat from home.
Bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that maneki neck all the way from Japan with him.
I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Dharma doll that you brought in your luggage?
Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm.
Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him.
Not doing a very good job so far, is it?
You mustn't say such things.
I didn't say a word. Why am I like such a giveaway?
And before it turns out she is, like, actually psychic or something.
Look at all these balls of paper on the floor. There are notes scrawled all over them, in English. Looks like the waste paper basket is so full they've just fallen out.
I think Mr. Natsume must have been deeply immersed in his research, don't you?
Not deeply averse to tidying up his mess.
I wouldn't like to speculate which is closer to the truth.
A pot of honey on the left. Is he actually Winnie the Pooh?
Oh, bother.
Oh, father.
Did you even call this a window?
I didn't get a mint on the windowsill or anything. I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now.
It really is just a wall then, isn't it? Why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that?
I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on in a fit of whimsy.
Ugh, that's alarmingly feasible.
Clear your mind of whimsy.
Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place very oppressive.
Learn to sway like the ginkgo flower. Guess what? It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. Right, let's see what else we got.
What else is there to see? There's a book.
That desk seems to be wedged into a crevasse between the mountains of books on either side.
Suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. Stroking
His
something
pussy.
else. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well.
Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books.
Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look, the date of purchase, 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. It's the day of the incident.
That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books.
Oh.
Oh, there he is.
Ah! Look, Mr. Naruhodo!
Ha! There he is. Where did he appear from?
He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope you won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes!
Ah, you two, good day. Now, let me see. Whoa. Fuck. Where was it that we met?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Buria.
Yes, of course, the Buria. And let me see, what happened on that voyage?
Cat vanished and he appeared. It's connected. It was Kazuma Asugi. Kazuma Asugi. I mixed up the S. He died tragically, but you were a great help to us.
Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it?
Oh,
Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least.
what an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr.
Oh, no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato.
Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes.
I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes.
They apprehended Soseki-san in that short amount of time?
I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little.
Little.
It's a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure titled A Study in Scarlet.
Please, there's no need to quote yourself.
I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully.
Ian's Irish, I suppose.
Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned.
Goodness!
Queso.
Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Alright, what we got?
We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. Seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes. The stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road.
Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines.
But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little?
I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean.
What?
Can't believe he was looking Susato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance.
I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension.
Oh? How?
I assure you, I have no recollection of accusing your stupid compatriot of the crime.
That doesn't make sense.
The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim: "We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene."
Ah, a man seen fleeing.
There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question.
So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit, then?
That I could not tell you. but it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I find myself quite lost in bibliophily. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure, no, no, no.
Oh dear.
Ah, tell me, have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
Yes, Mr. Garrideb, a retired military man.
It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the great British institution that is the services.
It's the first time I've ever met a maid from the great British institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny.
I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid.
Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer.
And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein.
Betoken their social standing. Sorry.
Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family.
Goodness, how extraordinary.
As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance.
I had no idea.
And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired army veteran Mr. John Garrideb.
Oh?
Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain.
I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say.
This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later.
Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one.
Ah, but sooner or later, as I said.
I don't believe that's the issue here.
We should arrest him ahead of time. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea?
No window.
Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window, of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks.
Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax.
Window tax? What is that?
Surely not a tax on windows.
Precisely that.
Oh my goodness!
Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. This is true. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up. This is also true. It's historically accurate. While the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favour with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money.
How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light.
Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So, some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example.
I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London is very generous, perhaps.
It would appear so. I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price.
Because the room is so awful, I should think.
Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago.
Yes, that's
Spin.
correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation.
Oh?
Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worthy of further attention.
You sure? I'm curious now. So where did the cat go?
Lieutenant Herlock. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law?
You remember that, did you?
Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it?
Not sure.
Not sure. On what grounds?
Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday.
Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too.
Thing is, it really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? Trust their innocence?
Yes, trust.
Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he?
My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea!
Oh, but... I thought that's why you were here. Did you come back to investigate?
Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them.
Oh, I see.
Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I'm quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
Mr. Garridabes? Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he?
Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence.
No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deep into Mr. Garridabes' secret.
Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo.
A busy man indeed. He's gone back into his book in the corner of the room.
Let's see, other things to look at.
There's something
Where?
Oh, we checked the...
on the left side.
Oh.
Oh, that thing. This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall here. It looks very robust. I wonder what it's for. There's a slot for certain coins here, too.
Ah, I believe that is a gas meter, Mr. Naruhodo.
Gas meter?
Yes, it seems there is piped gas in this district, which consumers pay for by putting coins in the meter.
So, if we were to put a coin in the slot...
That would be enough gas to use the lights and the gas fire for the whole night.
If you're too poor to have a coin, you'd have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold.
That's right, as would a rich man who only carried crisp white notes.
London is a scary place.
Alright, what else we got? Kinda looks like that's it.
Oh, we got Herlock.
If I inspect him again, what do we get?
Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes.
Yes, so true. To be or not to be? That is indeed the question, Mr. Naruhodo.
To be or not to be brushed off, that is the question, and the answer is all too clear.
Let's leave Mr. Sholmes in peace, shall we? Alright.
Good.
Good. Worth it.
Okay. Let's head back here.
Yes.
Ah, you pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Herlock Sholmes? Ah, yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid.
Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there.
Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what— Ah! For the umpteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bally well doing?
I'll be serving dinner shortly, sir.
Oh, yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave if you'd be so kind. Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out?
According to Mr. Sholmes, St. Garadeb is hiding something. Since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging.
Ooh. Alright.
Time to examine this bitch. Of course he's there. I saw something appear right in the corner after we finished talking.
I saw the bag, I didn't realize it was him.
What's he doing over there?
Mr. Sholmes?
Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows! Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service.
What are you doing over by the window?
I'm given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Well...
Keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering.
Ah, and one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, me?
I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind.
He's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon.
Do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo?
I think so.
There's just enough time for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon? The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you.
Mr. Naruhodo, look.
The old man's broken out in cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Shum's conclusions are both spot on.
How? How could you possibly...
How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. Ah! And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular!